Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We've got the Brooklyn Superbas, the New York Giants today. And the reason why we're playing this is because the Superbas are so close to first place. I say the reason why I'm playing this is the reason why we're playing this on camera. It's not so much that we want to have the Giants games all shown on camera as much as it is that we want to make sure that the games involving teams that are competing are on camera. Christy Mathewson pitches over to Tim Jordan, who's the first batter for Brooklyn, and he rolls a 55 for an 8. That's a pop fly over to Devlin at third base for the first out. Here comes Tommy Sheehan, and he rolls a 16 for a 26. There's a little ground ball over to Doyle at second base. Throws to first for the out. 2 away. Here's Harry Lumley. And this one is a 54 for a 45. That's a fly ball over to right field. Donlin's got it, makes the catch, and we go to the bottom of the first, just like that. Donlin's up there, rolls a 41 for a 28. That's a ground ball over to shortstop, and it is Lewis who has it. Throws to first for the out, 1 away. Larry Doyle now rolls a 32 for a 26. It's another ground ball, this time to Patty, the second baseman. Harry Patty, we know all about him. He throws to first for the out, 2 away. Here's Cy Seymour. Rolls a 46 for a 30, and that's going to be a fly ball over to left field. Hummel's got it for the out. We go to the top of the second, and here is John Hummel. John rolls a 54 for a 45, and here comes up that little E, and the roll is a 14, which means that ends up being a ground ball over to Bridwell, the shortstop for the Giants, who boots it, and that puts Hummel on first base. Hummel we're going to hit and run with because he's got that 11, might as well, and the roll is a 54 for a 45. Doesn't quite work for him. That's a fly ball over to right field. Donlin's got it for the out, 1 away, and here's Harry Patty. Lewis will be up behind Patty. He's taking a quick look, and we're probably better off swinging away with Patty with that 284 on base percentage, which is abysmal, I know. His roll is a 63 for a 30. That's a fly ball over to Shannon on the left. He makes the catch, 2 away. Here's Phil Lewis. And Lewis rolls a 53 for a 20. That will be changed to a 17, and that is a single to right field, but the right fielder, Donlin, is able to throw the runner out at third base, and we'll go to the bottom of the second inning. So kind of an unusual play. That does happen, though, sometimes with these. They're not all errors, even though they're error numbers as we think of them. Art Devlin rolls a 44 for an 8. That's a ground ball over to Lewis at short. Throws to first for the out, 1 away, and here's Fred Tenney. He rolls a 23 for a 29. That's a comeback over to Wilhelm at the mound. Throws over to first for the out, 2 away. Bridwell now. He rolls a 24 for a 13, and that is a strikeout, the first strikeout there for Wilhelm. Top of the third, Bill Bergen up there. Bergen rolls a 41 for a 28. That is a ground ball over to Bridwell, the shortstop. Throws over to first for the out, 1 away, and here's Kaiser Wilhelm. Rolls a 12 for a 25. That's a strikeout. That is strikeout number 1 that Christy Mathewson has accumulated, and that brings up Jordan here. 2 outs, top of the third, and his roll is a 34 for a 44. Fly ball over to Seymour in center field, and he makes the catch for the out. We go to the bottom of the third, and here's Spike Shannon. Shannon rolls a 32 for a 26. That's a ground ball over to Patty. Throws over to first for the out. How could I forget about Harry Patty? Next up is Roger Bresnahan. He rolls a 24 for a 13. There's a strikeout, and Wilhelm is winning the battle of the strikeouts now. 2 strikeouts that he has collected. Here's Mathewson. He rolls a 12 for a 25. That is a ground ball over to second baseman Patty. Throws over to first for the out. I just said I couldn't forget about Harry Patty, and I did it. Tommy Sheehan here, top of the 4th inning. No score in this one. Rolls a 66 for a 0. Here we go, and the next roll is a 26 for a 6, and that's going to be a double to right center for Sheehan, and here comes Lumley. I've said it before, I'll say it again, these dead ballers should really leave those power numbers to people who, or power rolls, that is, to people who know how to use them, because all they do is get doubles. Lumley is going to bunt. He rolls a 14 for a 43, and that ends up being a good bunt over to the left side. Devlin grabs it, throws over to first for the out. That puts Sheehan up to third base. We're in the top of the 4th inning, so we are going to bring the infield in. We're not going to bunt, though, with Hummel, though I just had that on. We took that off. And the roll is a 25 for an 8, and that is a fly ball over to right field to Donlin. He makes the catch, but the runner is able to score. It's a 1-0 game, and here comes Billy Maloney. And he rolls a 61 for a 32. That's another fly ball to Donlin in right field. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning, and here comes Mike Donlin. Donlin rolls a 34 for a 44, which is a fly ball over to Maloney in center field, 1 out, and that brings up Larry Doyle. And as you've noticed, there are no hits for the Giants yet. Doyle rolls a 41 for a 28. Ground ball over to Lewis. Throws over to first for the out, 2 away, and here's Cy Seymour. Seymour rolls a 53 for a 16, changed to a 22. That's a ground ball over to Jordan, the first baseman. Flips it over to Wilhelm, who covers at the bag, and that brings us to the top of the 5th. And here he is, Harry Patty, one of the great blog heroes that we have, of whom I have done so much research. and he rolls a 33 for an 8. So even when he gets a good roll, it's a ground ball over to Bridwell, the shortstop, throws over to first for the out, 1 away. Phil Lewis now rolls a 42 for a 32, and that's a fly ball over to Donlin over in right field, 2 away. And here's Bergen, and he rolls a 14 for a 43. And there is a chance for a little E, but the roll is a 64. That's going to be a fly ball over to Shannon and left, and we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Here's Art Devlin. Devlin's first roll is a 55 for a 9. That is a base hit. First hit of the game for the Giants, but unfortunately for Devlin, he's thrown out trying to steal. 1 away, and here is Fred Tenney. Tenney rolls a 15 for a 10, and that will be a clean single. No attempt to steal on that one, and that brings up Bridwell. And Tenney does not have a for an 11, and so I think we're just going to swing away with him instead of hitting and running. The roll is a 43 for a 29, and that is a comebacker over to Wilhelm, who throws over to Lewis, the shortstop, covering second for the out. They get the lead runner 2 outs now for Spike Shannon, and he rolls a 65 for a 35. That's a foul out over to the catcher, Bergen. We go to the top of the 6th inning, still 1-0 Brooklyn. And as you can see, that one was off the table. We'll try that one again. And the roll is a 25 for a 23. That's changed to a 36, and that's a ball. 23s only show up on pitcher cards. That's an old tradition going back to national pastime. That I can assure you of, having just completed taking and transcribing all the national pastime cards. You'll hear more about that one later. Wilhelm rolls a 35 for a 13, and he strikes out. Second strikeout of the game for Christy Mathewson. Here's Tim Jordan. Jordan rolls a 22 for a 7, and there's a clean single to right field. Hit number 3 for the Superbas. I was about to say the Dodgers, and we can actually. Brings up Tommy Sheehan, who's going to bunt, and he rolls a 21 for a 32, and it's a good bunt again to the left side. Devlin makes the play over to first. Jordan goes to second. 2 outs. Here's Harry Lumley, a chance to drive one in. But he rolls a 23 for a 32, which is a fly ball over to Donlin in right field. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Roger Bresnahan now. Roger rolls a 22 for a 7. That is a base hit, and that brings up Christy Mathewson in an obvious bunting situation. Runner on first base, nobody out. The roll is a 42 for a 13. That's a foul strike, and isn't it fun when we bunt? Next roll is a 24 for a 13. That's another foul strike. We're going to do it one more time, but I don't know if we can avoid any of these 13s. Next is a 31 for a 36, and that's a passed ball. That's a big play. Runner moves up to second, Bresnahan. And we're going to have Christy try to bunt one more time. The next one's a 51 for a 23, and that's a balk, which moves Bresnahan over to third base. Man, I don't think I've ever seen this happen. The infield comes in. We are going to try to bunt again, once again, and this time it's a 36 for a 33. This will change potentially depending upon this air rule. The air rule is a 46. I'm not sure if you can see that well. That's a 4 there on the red dice, and that's a foul strike, and that is the strikeout. So Bresnahan moves up to third base after a couple of really wild plays. It brings up Mike Donlin with 1 out and Roger Bresnahan on a third base. And I'll get this moved over right. There you go. The rule here is a 54 for a 45. We do have a chance at a little E, but it's a 61 is what we have, and that ends up being... Well, I guess I had the bunt on. I was going to have the infield in. Doesn't matter one way or another. Donlin gets the bunt down over again to the left side, and it is Sheehan who makes the play. Throws over to first for the out, but the run scores. 1-1 game now, and here's Larry Doyle. Rolls a 45 for a 14. And now we're going to do some hit and run with the Giants. 2 outs here, bottom of the 6th inning. Hitting and running with Cy Seymour up there. Rolls a 41 for a 28. That's a ground ball over to Lewis. He throws over to first for the out. We can forget about it. We go to the top of the 7th. Here's John Hummel. Rolls a 61 for a 30. That's a quiet fly ball over to Shannon, the left fielder. 1 away, and here's Billy Maloney. Maloney rolls a 15 for an 11, and that's a single and then a stolen base. Puts a runner on second base here for Harry Patty, and we're going to have Patty swing away again in this situation. And the roll is a 14 for a 43. We probably should have bunted. Boy, that was a bad decision. That's a fly ball over to Shannon. The left fielder makes the play. 2 away. Here's Phil Lewis. And Lewis is going to roll a 16 for a 28. That is a ground ball over to Bridwell. Shortstop throws over to first for the out. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Here's Art Devlin. That's a 33. Sorry to look at that one again. And that is a 33 for a 7. Single to right for Devlin. That brings up Tenney. And I think Devlin does not have that 11. But let's try this anyway. Let's see what happens with Tenney up there. Rolls a 55 for an 8. And that ends up being a ground ball over to the second baseman, Patty. Throws over to first for the out. And that does move Devlin up to second, though. And here comes Bridwell. Bridwell rolls a 46 for a 13 and strikes out. Strikeout number 4 for Kaiser Wilhelm in this one. Next up is Spike Shannon. I keep saying that wrong. He rolls an 11 for a 7, and that is a clean single to right field that scores the run. 2-1 game now, and here's Roger Bresnahan, runner on first base. He rolls a 45 for a 14, and that's a walk. Wilhelm has no way to prevent the base on balls. He struck out 11 this season and walked 12. Mathewson now up there rolls a 51 for a 23. That changes to 39, which avoids us having the game called because of rain. That's a line drive over to the third baseman. It's Sheehan who makes the play. And we go to the top of the 8th inning. Here's Bill Bergen. 2-1 Giants now. Bergen rolls a 44 for an 8. That's a ground ball over to Bridwell, the shortstop. Throws to first for the out. 1 away. Here's Kaiser Wilhelm. He rolls a 22 for an 8. Another ground ball over to Bridwell. 2 away. Here's Tim Jordan. Jordan rolls a 45 for a 14, but because of the ZZ, it's only 2 balls. Next is a 54 for a 45. That's a pop-up over to Donlin, the right fielder. He makes the play. We go to the bottom of the 8th. And here comes Mike Donlin. And his roll is a 46 for a 29. That's a comeback over to Wilhelm. Throws the first for the out. 1 away. Larry Doyle now rolls a 63 for a 31. Fly ball over to Maloney in center field. Makes the play. Here's Cy Seymour. He rolls a 61 for a 32. And there's a fly ball over to Lumley and Ride. Here we go with the bottom of the 9th inning. And Tommy Sheehan's up there. Sheehan rolls a 43 for a 29, which is a strikeout because of that X. Strikeout number 3 is all for Mathewson, and that brings up Harry Lumley. Lumley rolls a 13 for a 40, which is changed to a 23. And that's going to be an error on the catcher as a wild throw by Bresnahan, and that brings up Hummel with the runner on first base. And let's see if something can happen here. We're going to probably have Hummel go ahead and swing away. And the roll is a 36 for a 33, and there is a little E possibility. But the roll is a 64. It's out of the range. That's a pop-up over to Devlin, the third baseman, 2 away, and that brings up Billy Maloney. This is the last gasp here, for the Superbas. And his roll is a 26 for a 27. That is a strikeout for Mathewson, strikeout number 4 of this game. That is the final score. The Giants win this one 2-1 in a pretty simple game, only 9 hits combined. And sure hope you enjoyed that one. That's going to move the Giants up to 5-4. The Superbas down to 5-4. It might be a little while before we see those teams again, so we'll see what happens. Hope you enjoyed this game. I will talk with you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.